now we're going to mount the top pierce punch. And here's the pierce punch in its punch retainer. And we have 4 mounting holes in there. And here's the bottom die with its die steels. This is all soft because of the limited quantity that we have to do. It should be okay. And this bottom die steel is a rectangular shape, and I split it up the center. So here's how I was taught. This is the old school way of mounting a die. This is gauze bandage curity. This could be done with shims also, but I find that this is a good way to do it. At least it gets you in the ballpark. And typically the final check would be done with a die light, but since my slug hole doesn't go all the way through, I can't shine a die light back up through there. So for our purposes here, I think we'll just use the gauze. Take the gauze, wet it down with a little bit of engine oil so that it doesn't cut. Lay the gauze over the... Now I think I'll double this a little bit. Okay, lay the gauze over the die opening. I'll put another piece of gauze in there. This gauze is probably 50 years old. It was still in my Gerstner. Okay, now we put the pierce punch in there. Oh, forgot a step. Lay some parallels on here. And we put the pierce punch in there. That's too much. Okay. Those parallels aren't quite tall enough. Be right back. Get taller parallels. Those are 1.5 inches. We put our 1 3/4 inches in there. Tell me they're too tall. Oh, don't tell me they're too tall. No, that'll be all right. Okay. Now, the pierce punch is centered in its hole, and the punch pad is parallel. So now what we do is we put some transfer screws in here. This is the classic use of transfer screws. And we kind of feel them to make sure that they just standing a little bit proud of the surface. And it is. Now when I put the mounting holes in this punch retainer, I offset one of the holes so that it can never be put on there backwards. Always when you have symmetrical hole pattern on a piece that is prone to be mounted backwards, always offset it and make it asymmetrical so that you don't have that problem. Might not be your problem, you might remember, but the next guy down the line might not. So, okay. So now we're set up. Now we grease the pins a little bit so that we can get the top shoe on and off a little bit easier. Doesn't take a lot. These are homemade pins and bushings because I couldn't justify the cost of commercial guide posts and bushings. Okay. Now we have to locate our top of our die, which is over here. Now, if we put this together without smashing our fingers, now I have it down on the die retainer. Now I have to give that a good whack. My whacking hammer is over here by the middle. Okay, here we go. Now that transferred our screw holes. Yep, okay, we got all 4 of them. So now I have to deepen those out with a center punch and we can drill our mounting holes through there. Okay, so now I've got my 4 mounting holes in my top shoe. So I haven't disturbed my setup here on my punch retainer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the transfer screws out and put them away right away so I don't lose them. Otherwise I will lose them. Put them right back in the container here. Because boy, I'll tell you, if these things fall on the floor, you know that they will roll a mile and you'll never find them. In fact, I have some missing now in my smaller set. Okay. This over here. Okay, I've deburred my holes. If you don't deburr your holes on a plate, when you run your knuckles across it, it feels like a cheese grater. Okay, and I've checked my bushings to make sure there's no chips in there. So now, I come down with my top shoe, right down to my punch retainer, and everything should be lined up. So, now I put my screws in. We have a perfect lineup. Better not talk yet, I haven't got all my screws in. Went a little bit deep on my counter bores. It's okay. These are Harbor Freight Allen head screws, and boy, I tell you, they're soft, and the Allen portion of them is shallow, so you can't engage your Allen wrench in there very far, so you have to be careful, boy. You can strip those things really easy. All in all, I'd never buy them again. Boy, I'll tell you what, and it's loose too, and this is supposed to be a imperial set. Maybe a metric Allen wrench would fit in there better. Now when we're done, it would be typical in die making to, when everything's lined up and set, working good, you would dowel the top retainer. Also you dowel the die steels too. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'll just run it the way it is. So, here you go. Now when I pull up on this, everything should be in alignment. Pull my gauze out. I have to be careful how far this enters. I don't want to run it down to the shank of the punch and screw up my die steels. Okay, so, alright, that's not bad. can tap that around a little bit to make it line up perfectly. So, okay, that's pretty good. We're there. On to the next thing.